Teacher meant when they said I was smart in school. Realist, young, but run that strip to my work, and that's like us to like her. In football terms, if you know what I mean, back then you could... I don't know who needs to hear this, but don't ever let anyone shame you for running to God. Don't ever let anyone shame you for running to God. Let me give you a recent example. Vybz Kartel, who went through some dark trials and tribulations, spending 13 years in a Jamaican prison cell with Graves' disease. Only himself and the Most High knew what he may have went through. And since being released, he's been praising God left, right and centre. He stated publicly several times that God is the only reason he's now out of that situation.
Believe in God. Vybz Kartel is a spiritual person. I'm not a religious person. So when you say believe in God, if you mean Jesus, I'm not a religious person like that.
God in the context of Christendom, of Christianity.
No, I don't believe in Christianity. I don't believe in Buddhism. I don't believe in Islam. Because to me, religion is division. It's just one more thing to divide people. Religious wars are the most violent wars in history. And it can be proven with even the recent 9/11 attacks in New York City. That is a religious war.
And this is somebody who was openly an atheist. And he was even into more obscure things. But now, he's acknowledging that God is real and he's letting everybody know.
Right. Because now you sitting there and you being still and you really hearing God and hearing what your purpose is.
Exactly. Man, I prayed so much, man. Like, nobody can tell me nothing, Charlemagne. Don't come at me with no atheism, no rubbish like that. God is real and I'm living testimony of that, man. Trust me. So I feel blessed every day.
How is your health now?
Work in progress.
Yeah.
So definitely a work in progress. But it was worse. When I came out, my head was this big, like the Pillsbury Doughboy. Big fucking gut.
Jamie Foxx is another example. After allegedly being poisoned, Jamie Foxx spent 20 days in a coma. And he actually credited his full recovery to his strong faith and God alone.
Vitals were so bad they were going to lose me. And that's when a miracle happened. And that miracle was working through my youngest daughter. She's 14. I didn't want her to see me like that. But she snuck into my hospital room with her guitar. And she says, I know what my daddy needs. She says, that's my daddy.
This part.
She was playing my vitals. Went down.
As she was playing the guitar, his vitals. Because
The
his vitals were
nurses
high.
at the nurses station were baffled. Like, wow, what did they give him? So they rushed into the room and she said, I got it. It was God in that guitar. God is in the guitar.
So she...
Play, Annalise, play. Thank you so much for stepping up when all was lost. Oh, goodness.
I mean, we had to make it because I always dreamed that we performed together on stage one day.
So,
even Young Thug recently said that he feels like he's too big for jail, but not too big for God. After looking at what could have been 25 years in jail on a federal RICO charge. And I'm not saying that any of these guys are saved, but even the Bible says, even the demons believe and tremble. And I'm saying this to make my point. When it gets real, everybody runs to God. And apart from being at the top of their game, what do all of these artists that I mentioned have in common? They all went through something that was too much for them to handle. They went through a situation that they had no choice but to call upon God. The situation broke them so much that God was the last resort in a way. And that's the funny thing about God. He often breaks a man down so much that he has no choice but to acknowledge him. Whether that's through prison time, illness, tragedy, God will break down the person so much that the old you is no longer there. So now you can only hear his voice. And God will humble you so he can use you for his purposes and not the purposes of others. in 2 Corinthians, Apostle Paul says, therefore, in order to keep me from becoming conceited, I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger of Satan to torment me. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Vybz Kartel said that he cried when he found out he was being released from prison. This is the boogeyman admitting he was crying. Personally, there's only one time I cried when I was in trouble with the law. And I'm going to tell that story another time. I need people to kind of support these videos so I can talk about the proper stories in it. But that story may actually help people get through difficult situations. But another time Apostle Paul was struck down by God, he lost his sight for 3 days. And apart from the fact that my given middle name is actually Paul, I can relate to both of these things. For example, in 2018, I started making music again, worldly music, you know, and I stopped abruptly, but only a few people knew that I had gone through a very serious medical situation, that I survived, and many didn't, and many haven't actually survived that. But by God's grace, I'm still here. So I say that to say that sometimes when you have a call on your life, you will never be at peace until you answer that call. And I would go as far as saying that God has ordained some of us to be successful outside of serving Him directly, but ultimately the way you go about that will determine if you end up achieving it or not. Hope that makes sense. Have a nice day, people. God bless.
Where your love falls out for me, I call it the passion of Christ. I'ma pay that price, restraint and sacrifice. So strong but tight, it's gonna mad all the trials and battles I survive.